Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from The Wall. Please comment, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And I got Chow Time 2.0. If you guys can subscribe to that, I'd really appreciate that. Let's get that chow. It's chow time. These stupid TikTok dances.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll explore two stories that clearly show why girls' trips can be a dangerous territory. First, we'll look at how a woman turned her girls' trip into a romantic getaway with another man, justifying it as a personal revelation. Then, we'll analyze the case of a man who discovered his wife's infidelity by showing up during her date with the man she was planning to betray him with. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're chasing 150,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Share your experiences and advice in the comments. That's what helps this community grow. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. All right, let's get started.
Girls trip rule number one is you have to get your hair wet and you have to get in the pool every single day.
Yes. Rule number 2 for the girls' trip is that there is always a happy hour.
And a happy ending.
Rule number 3 for the girls' trip is that you always have to remember to wear underwear with your dress.
Rule number 4, free the nip.
Rule number 5, there's always a vibe check. We all have to check in with each other at the beginning of the night to make sure we're all on the same category of outfit.
Yeah.
Coordination.
I had the most awkward situation on a girls' trip where I'm the only married girl in my group of friends. I ended up rooming with somebody that was single. And at the end of a fun night, she wanted to bring someone back.
No
now
shit.
I'm in my room and I'm like, there's 2 guys in my room, like drinking and still hanging out. It was a guy and his friend. Yeah.
Oh, so that was supposed to be for you.
No, and that's the point. Now I'm in my room on the phone, like, there's dudes in the room. Like, I feel mad uncomfortable. Like, I think I have to be wiser because maybe that wasn't the trip I should have been on.
All right.
She realized she shouldn't be on that trip when she had 2 men in her room, and her friend was about to make her cheeks start clapping. Bravo for the late realization, but it's not entirely her fault. It's the fault of the man who allows his woman to go on a girls' trip with her single friends.
No, we can't say it's his fault. It's her fault for wanting to do these things too. And there's accountability on both sides.
If you're surprised something went wrong, it's because you didn't understand the basic rules of these trips. Let's be clear. A girls' trip always includes 3 foolproof ingredients: a fun environment, the mentality of looking for a good time, and plenty of alcohol. Now add an attractive man, the thrill of adventure, and a little chaos, and you've got the perfect recipe for things to spiral out of control.
Yep.
Brother, if you think nothing could happen, you're playing with fire. It's not paranoia, it's common sense.
Girls cheat. Girls trips, for example, crime one. I can't tell you how many times a girl has cheated on her girls trip with me. Miami, you guys see I'm going to Miami a lot. These girls go on girls trip in Miami and they cheat. I don't care what you say. I don't care what your girl tells you. Quick story time. I was in Miami. This girl
I can know 100% if they're going to Miami.
cheated on her boyfriend with me. I came back, I saw her Instagram, found it, and she was posting pictures with her boyfriend, and then she ended up blocking me because she didn't want me to see that. The point is, I've learned that girls are definitely cheaters and they're opportunists under certain circumstances, and especially with the right guy. And I just so happen to be that right guy a lot of times. So keep that in mind, take that information however you want. But if your girl's going to Miami and I'm there, chances are you might want to reschedule the trip.
See, this is the part where I really don't get these dating coaches, these, like Chad types, you know majority of women there are there to cheat. Why are you still fucking with these women? Like, are you not doing well enough in life or doing whatever to not fuck around with just straight up 304s in the streets?
It's funny because it's true.
This is a classic Chad. He makes it clear on his YouTube channel. If he finds your girl in Miami and she's willing, he's not going to forgive her.
Yeah.
As the saying goes, the only one who forgives is Christ, and he died on the cross. Brother, this guy isn't here to teach you morality. He's here to warn you that if your girl is in fun mode on a girl's trip, chances are something is going to happen. As I've already said, a girl's trip always includes 3 foolproof ingredients: a fun environment, the mindset of looking for a good time, and plenty of alcohol. That combination, paired with the right man, is the perfect recipe for disaster. And this Chad doesn't sugarcoat it. Women are unfaithful under the right circumstances, especially if they meet the right guy.
Get ready with me while I tell you a story about a time I cheated on my boyfriend and don't regret it. Now, I would like to preface this by saying I do not condone cheating. It's not healthy. It's not good. But I try to find, the light at the end of the tunnel in every situation. And let's just say the situation brought me back to life and made me wake up and realize that I was not happy. Now, to start this off, you should know that I was in a very, very toxic relationship.
I was going to say the word toxic, narcissistic, and then abusive.
For about 3.5, 4 years, and things weren't going very well. Now, where the issue started is my ex and I were preparing for Valentine's Day. And right around the time of Valentine's Day, he decides that he is going to go on a boys' trip to Scottsdale, which I was fine with. I didn't mind when he went out of town. But he lets me know the dates on it, and I start laughing. I was like, excuse me? I was like, that's over Valentine's Day. It was like, it fell over a whole weekend, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, we have plans for Valentine's Day. We had reservations to a really nice restaurant, and he was just making adverse plans to go off with boys on a boys' trip on Valentine's Day.
What's so important about Valentine's Day? It is probably one of the worst days to go out on because everybody and everywhere is fully booked, super packed when you go out to eat. I'd rather just go out to eat a day or the day before or after.
Now, this man was slick. So what he did was he had remembered that my girlfriends had talked about going on a trip to Mexico when we had been all hanging out a few weeks ago. And he's like, oh my God, you go on a girl's trip, I'll go on a guy's trip. And in return, I'll pay for your plane ticket for you to go. And I was like, but I don't know, kind of a trip, with my girlfriends seemed like a good idea. So I agreed. Now, as I'm taking off to go to Mexico, I realize this man has only bought me an economy seat. And that's fine, don't get me wrong. But if you are a man and you mess up Valentine's Day to go on a boys' trip and you're sending your girl off somewhere else, at least get her a Delta Comfort seat. But I was, in the back in economy and it was fine.
The entitlement. It's a plane ticket that he got you that you didn't have to pay for, and you're still going to bitch and moan that it wasn't a better plane ticket?
So I take off, heading off to Mexico with my girlfriends, and we get to Mexico, hanging out, having a great time, and all of a sudden I see this guy's Instagram story that looks just like where I'm at. And it was a guy who I had met in Atlanta, out and about, but he had moved to a different state. And so we kind of kept in touch with each other, but just as friends. I met him when he had a girlfriend. He met me whenever I had a boyfriend. So the second that I see that we are literally in the same place, same location, I reach out and I was like, hey, we should all get together because everyone knew each other who was associated with this group. And let me tell you, this man, beautiful. Probably the most beautiful man I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'll just go ahead and have to say we're going to need a part 2 because I need to continue, and I'm getting hot thinking about how cute this guy is.
Oh, hell no!
I admit I made this same mistake. I sent my ex-wife and her grandma to Vietnam and Cambodia with my family quite a few times where I didn't go along.
Here we have the typical attempt to justify infidelity under the premise of he did it first. She starts with the classic narrative, my relationship was toxic, followed by my partner was bad, and then downplays what she did as if it were just a reaction to his actions. Of course, she tries to position herself as the victim who was simply searching for happiness. But let's focus on the interesting details. There was a guy she met in Atlanta, someone she kept in touch with. That friend was her plan B.
Yep.
The guy who was always in the friend zone.
And he's gorgeous. Makes her hot just thinking about him.
Patiently waiting for his turn. It's no coincidence that the perfect moment to act happened when both were single in the same place, with all barriers removed. The attraction had already been there. It just needed the right conditions to reignite. She claims it was a coincidence, but we all know that when there's a plan B in the picture, there's no such thing as an accident.
Yeah,
Brother,
there's no
this is a
way.
reminder. those friends are often not just friends. They're backup plans waiting for their opportunity. But let's continue.
This is part 2 of me telling you about the time I cheated on my boyfriend and don't regret it. So I reach out to the guy and we make plans to all get together that night. He had a big group, I had a big group, and so we all decided to get together. Now, one thing I will say about specifically Tulum, Mexico is it's super romantic, but it's also big time party atmosphere.
No shit.
It is
was
one
a
of the
nice spot.
most beautiful places, but it's definitely like a man-made put together place. It's meant to be romantic. So I would like to really preface that.
So it's romantic. That's why you couldn't keep your pants to yourselves. That's why you had to just, bone the man that you were super attracted to, like that you met years ago, because of how romantic everything is.
Get to what is like the biggest, I guess, club, bar there, whatever you want to call it. And his group of friends, my group of girlfriends are all, kind of hanging out. Turns out he was there for a company trip. But nonetheless, we were having a great time. And about that time, everyone kind of starts tapering off towards the end of the night. He looks at me and he's like, let's go to the upstairs little quiet place. And I was like, I tried to go up there earlier. Definitely can't go up there. This is just like a little private area. And he's like, we'll go. Let's go. Now, before we get to the good part, I'm going to give you a little bit of detail about the relationship that I was in. Because once we get up to this private area, that's whenever it got spicy. My ex and I were in a situation where he had cheated and I was having a really, really hard time wanting to touch him again or, wanting to be intimate, or even when we were in bed together at night, there wasn't a lot of touching because he had cheated and every time he touched me, that's all I could think about.
Why stay? Why torture yourself, man or woman? Why torture yourself and stay in a relationship that obviously is eating you up in your fucking mind?
And so that made him start being less romantic. That made him start trying less. Stop trying less. And so it wasn't good. We were not in a good place. And so back to the private area, my ex was not the most showy guy. He was not someone who was going to walk up to a door guy and just get you in. Never did that. So we started hanging out in this little private area,
Chad.
And we are taking tequila shots that are neat pours, may I add. You weren't getting shots there. They were pours, and we were downing them. Now, so to keep going back on this place was super romantic, and I had been dating someone who was no
It's a club. How romantic is a club, really?
longer super romantic towards me. He would do nice things here and there when he wanted something, but that was really about it. And so I was in a super romantic place with this guy. We were having great conversation. He was asking me all these questions about myself, and I fell for it. And so he asked me, hey, my company has the entire resort across the road, hotel, whatever you want to call it, rented out. We can go do whatever we want there. He's like, let's go swimming. And I was like, you can't go night swimming. He's like, yes, you can. Again, this guy was making things happen. We're going to have to go to part 3. Sorry, this is a juicy story.
Here we have the classic woman trying to justify her infidelity with the typical, he did it first, so I had the right. Her story
No, she's also going after the most Chad of Chads. This is the guy she truly wants.
is full of excuses and carefully placed details designed to paint herself as the victim who simply fell into a romantic moment during a trip.
Right? It's
Of
romantic.
course, her ex-husband is described as the typical beta provider, a man who gave her financial stability but, according to her, didn't know how to ignite the spark in bed. The man on the trip, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. This guy understands the game. He uses seduction, takes the lead, and creates the masculine polarity she craves. As she puts it herself, this guy was making things happen. In a romantic setting, with tequila in the mix, and far from the pressures of her husband. It's the perfect combination to justify her fling. Brother, this isn't just a dangerous cocktail. It's a recipe for emotional disaster. And the worst part is, she tells the story without a shred of regret.
She does.
As if betrayal were a simple response to her discontent. But let's see how the story ends.
So this is part 3 of the Get Ready With Me while I tell you a story about the time I cheated on my ex and don't regret it. So again, this man is making things happen. We go over to his resort, but my resort was along the way. And I was like, hey, I need to get a swimsuit. And he's like, no, you don't. And if you're my dad, please stop watching. I know you're watching this. Please stop, because you're not going to like the rest of this. Anyways, we get to his pool, and there's like a grotto situation, and it was really, really pretty, and it was really, really cold. So we hop in and hop just out just about as fast as we got in, because it was freezing.
No shit.
I won't go into full detail about the rest of the trip, but we ended up spending the rest of the trip together. While I was there, I also ended up finding out that my ex, while he was in Scottsdale, was literally sitting with paid-for girls at a nightclub. Great. With all of that being said, I had one of the most romantic trips with someone. I had a blast and a great time getting to know somebody and actually realizing that I deserved way more than what I was getting in my current relationship.
Are you still with this guy? I'm almost positive he left you as soon as you guys left Mexico.
I finally realized that even though I had been in this relationship for all this period of time, I still deserved the spark. I still deserved the romance and the touching and the kissing and all of the above. I realized I deserved those things, and it pulled me out of a rut. And I know everyone has heard the High Infidelity song by Taylor Swift. You know, do you really want to know what I was doing April 29th? Do you really know how he brought me back to life? However it goes. When I say that this man pulled me out of a rut of a relationship where I thought that I was just going to settle for the bare minimum in a relationship, this man
flew you out on vacation. I'm not saying this man's a good man by any means. If the cheating was true, which is also taken with a grain of salt, sent you on a vacation to Mexico, which isn't usually cheap.
Wasn't even prepared to spend Valentine's Day with me. He didn't go above and beyond whenever it came down to the little things in life, and it ended up transpiring into me cheating. Now, I will say whenever I got back to Atlanta, I was pretty quick to tell my boyfriend what had happened. It took me a little bit of time. He knew I was acting funny, but I finally popped off one day and just was like, I deserve better than this. I want more than this. I figured out what I wanted, and it's just not this. Now, this kind of gave this man a wake-up call, and he was like, no, I'm not losing you. He wanted to try and make things work, and I just realized I was not happy, and there was no way that anything he could do would make it work.
Once a woman cheats, especially the way she cheated, emotionally, romantically like that, you're done-ski.
Started trying to build a house together. And I still was not happy. I realized that there was something else out there that I wanted, and ended up going and seeing this guy in the different state that he had moved to, and realizing I was really, really missing something in the relationship. And so do I, think I handled things properly? No, but I don't regret what I did, because I'm happy now and I know what I want.
In short, cheating on your husband empowered you.
Yep.
It showed you what you deserved, what you were worth, that you shouldn't settle for the bare minimum, that you're a strong, independent woman who deserves more. That romantic trip, where you spent the whole time cheating on your husband with another man, made it all clear to you. The ways of God are indeed mysterious, brothers. Nowadays, even cheating can become a journey of revelation for a modern woman. She assumes what her ex-husband might have been doing, so before confirming, she decides to do it herself. I'm sure he did a lot, considering they spent the entire trip together. And let's not forget about the friends as well. This story makes one thing even clearer. Any man who lets his wife go on a girl's trip should prepare to welcome her back well worked over by someone else, making him a willing cuckold. Because for many women, solving a bad situation starts with cheating, then trying to fix their life, and finally claiming that men are the most unfaithful ones. Let me know what you think about this story.
That story was ridiculous. Everywhere, the point of she was trying to justify everything with just starting off, I was in a toxic relationship. He treated me like this, never got anything from him, never gave me the tingles, all of these shits that women really love to lie about, in a sense, because if you're into the guy, none of that shit even matters anyways, right? Please like, comment, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that, and catch you guys next time. Ciao.